Welcome back to the channel. Now that's how you bounce back. I can't remember the last time the Cowboys kicked the team's ass that bad, even before halftime. I was doing a show with my guy Big Game James of the Silver and Blue Nation. He said that the Cowboys had to have a statement win against Atlanta. Now that's talking loud and clear. Dak was a man, the offense was clicking, and Dan Quinn said he had no hard feelings against Atlanta. You never know. As they say, it's a thin line between love and hate, or in this case, a Quinn line between love and hate, because they beat their guts out. Now that we have our field goods back, it's on to the next one. And that next one is KC, the Kansas City Chiefs, the game everybody's been talking about since the schedule dropped way back over the summer. Now, the Chiefs are coming off a blowout themselves, and Pat might be back. And of course, everyone hopped right back on the bandwagon. But to break it all down, some objective, got to have another guest to come on and break it all down with me. So, without any special ado, my guy, a special guest, one half of the Cowboys and Chaos podcast is Kelly K-9. Kelly, what's up, man?
What's going on, LP? How you doing?
Good, man. Finally here. Finally got you.
Yeah. Yes. Finally could make this happen. I think last time we were supposed to get together, something came up. That was my girlfriend. Actually, it was my girlfriend's birthday party, I think, or something like that came up. But finally making it happen, baby.
Hey, man. Glad to have you. So you already know how it goes, right? So on this show, a little different than your show, maybe a little more, should I say, PG-13 versus what y'all do over there?
Yeah, that's good. I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, before we get started, don't do this thing. Tell everybody how can we find you. Actually, find the podcast, find you on Twitter and wherever else, man.
So you can find me on Twitter at Kelly K9, and then podcast is at Cowboys and Chaos. We have had haven't dropped an episode in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. We both had some scheduling things that have come up and stuff, but that kind of comes up through the season and stuff. But our podcasts are on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, anywhere where you can actually stream your podcast, you can find us. But it's at Cowboys and Chaos on Twitter, and also on any of the streaming platforms is where you can find us at too.
That's what's up, man. And again, guys, I'm LP Cruz. You can find me now on Twitter at SDQ Flight Cruise. So yeah, man. So the way we normally do this is I break down the show. First, I'll start off with the Cowboys defense against the opponent's offense. Then we'll flip it vice versa. But because this game, Kelly, this game is a little bit different. It's special. It's a Chiefs game. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the show, we're going to do big picture as to what this means for the Cowboys and everything else, man. So got kind of a bonus special with you today, man. So I hope you're ready.
All right. Yeah, let's do this.
All right, cool, man. All right. So let's start off right into it, man. Let's just talk Chiefs O-line versus our O-line. I know they were missing Gregory, looks like. No Tank Lawrence. So kind of just off the bat, man, give me your feels and thoughts on this Chiefs O-line versus our D-line.
I mean, I think that the Cowboys have shown that they've been able to put a pass rush on pretty much anybody. And it's, they were able to do it without Gregory last week. I remember the first pass rusher that went down was Lawrence, and that was the big concern was could we get pressure without him? And Quinn showed he could make it happen. He got guys that stepped up. I mean, he put Parsons in a spot where Parsons is getting after the quarterback. And then, and he did that, Parsons again was able to get pressure when Gregory wasn't there. Gregory stepped up when Lawrence wasn't there. It just seems like it doesn't really matter where the injuries have happened along this defense. It just seems like that Quinn is putting these players in the right position to put pressure on the quarterback, whether that's coming from Parsons or a guy like Dorrance Armstrong stepping up and getting a sack or two. I mean, you've just been able to see pressure from our defensive line, no matter who we play. And, and the Chiefs have struggled to protect Mahomes at times. There's been times where, you see the guy and he's running for his life. So I think we'll be able to put pressure on him. Quinn's creativity on the defensive side of the ball has been the difference in this team this year from last year. I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. With this team, I had to look them up because I was not sure what they were doing. I know, like, with Mahomes in the Super Bowl, he was just running, like, scared the whole time. So they went up. I saw they kind of read up a little bit, got more pieces. It's Orlando Brown, Joe Tooney, even the center, man, as a rookie, Creed Humphrey.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you buy into ESPN stats. You might not. I mean, I kind of go half and half, man. But I saw they had the pass block win rate, and he's number one, the center, a rookie center. So we talk about, rookie centers like we had last year with our guy, Tyler, to be honest, but this guy really is about that action. It looks like he is one of the top guys in the league already as a rookie blocking for them. As far as the pass block win rate, I think they're top five, so they're up there. They're not that bad. Maybe Mahomes makes it look worse than it actually is because he's always trying to get out the pocket and make a big play. But
Yeah.
man, I'm with you on that Micah Parsons thing, dude. Like, I'm with you. It's Micah's got to be that tool. So you want Micah playing more edge, right, than linebacker, I would assume.
I would think so. I mean, in a game like this, especially if that's where they're sitting at, against the pass rush and their offensive line. I think I haven't watched a lot of Chiefs games. I think a lot of it though, when I do watch the Chiefs, I just see, and it's kind of Mahomes' thing. It sometimes seems like he's dropping out and moving out of that pocket when he doesn't have to. He kind of gets a little bit of happy feet, and I think that's kind of contributed to a lot of his turnovers that he's had this year. Is that you see him just doesn't seem very comfortable within the pocket a lot of the times, which is odd. If when you talk about his offensive line, kind of having some of the accolades they've had this year. But yeah, definitely Parsons is the guy. I mean, they referred to him as a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use that guy in all kinds of different positions and never let the offense know where he's coming from. Move him around. You play him at linebacker, you play him off the edge. I mean, he's a guy that I think that Quinn has used very well this year. And I think a lot of defensive coordinators would like to have a guy like Parsons on their defense.
Hey, question, man, because this is totally off the script though. But you went to Texas Tech, right?
I lived in Lubbock for 20 years, and
Okay.
I didn't attend Texas Tech, but I did have season tickets to Texas Tech. I started watching Tech when I first moved there, and then kind of just as a casual fan, and then kind of just grew to love the team. And I was able to see Mahomes in college. I watched him for this is their 3 years. So I saw Mahomes at Tech, so I saw him firsthand. I saw a lot of his potential of something that he could do when he came to the NFL. So I like Mahomes. I mean, he's my dude when he's not playing the Cowboys, but on Sunday, there's no love. There's no love.
So tell me, man, is it the same guy that you've seen? Can you talk about the happy feet leaving the pocket? Is this the same guy you saw back at TTU? Same stuff?
I saw that. I did see that at Tech. I saw that a lot of times at Tech, which I have a couple of friends up here, some pretty good friends that are Chiefs fans, and they asked me about Mahomes, and I didn't see him having the success that he had. I didn't think he was going to have that. I thought his arm strength was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it's just and the way he can throw the ball. I mean, there's not many people that have the arm strength that he has and that can throw the ball like he can the deep ball. But a lot of the mistakes that he's making this year, I saw at Tech at times. There's times where he's in love with the big play. He's in love with the deep ball, and he'll throw it into double coverage sometimes because he knows he has that arm strength, and that will sometimes lead him to make throws that he shouldn't make throws without setting his feet. Fall back and run back too far in the pocket when he doesn't have to. Times where he'll run out of the pocket and actually run into a defender and actually end up running him into a sack. That term, running yourself into a sack. I mean, I've seen Mahomes do that a lot. I've seen him do it when he was at Tech, and I've seen him do it a lot, this year, even, just getting very, he's just uncomfortable in the pocket is the only way that I could describe it. And I'm not really sure why that is, but I mean, it started in the Bucs game, and I've seen a lot more of it this year too. So for whatever reason, it seems like every time he gets the ball, it's like a second or two, and then he's rolling out, or he's dropping way further back than he needs to. But I did see some of that at Tech, and I mean, he did great, took the NFL by storm. But one thing that's for sure is that defensive coordinators have started to catch on to the fact that he is in love with that big play. So sometimes he'll make some throws that are very ill-advised.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. And I hate to use a comparison game, but it kind of reminds me of like Steph Curry, where Steph is a one-on-one, where not everybody can do what Steph does. To everybody else, that's a bad shot. It's a bad throw. It's a bad play. But to these two guys, Steph and Mahomes respectively, oh, that's a great play because you can make something out of nothing.
Right.
But the same way I say that Mahomes is a one-of-one where he's special, I'm with you with Micah Parsons, though. Micah is a special type of dude because, like you said, he'll drift back so far to take off to leave the pocket. And when you do that, you need a guy that can redirect. I mean, what I'm saying? A fast guy that can turn his hips, redirect, and get back to the quarterback. That's Micah. So if
Absolutely
wants to play it, wants to have fun, play it loose and free, that's perfectly fine. But I'm with you on that one. If Micah's there, hey man, Micah, you're playing end today. Unfortunately, this is your job. even almost like a half spy where you just kind of just watch him take off and get in his backside. So yeah, I'm with that for sure, man. I can't fault you with that one. I think you're speaking total facts on that one. So I'm gonna move on to the running backs real quick though. These Chiefs running backs, and I don't want to talk too much about them because I think, at least for me, man, I think they're all the same. I think Allaire is not that special to me at all. Daryl
Yeah.
Williams, the same deal. I think Allaire's out, if I'm correct. He's not playing this week. They're saying he's
Okay.
iffy to play. But I think they're decent check downs. Like, I think they're decent check downs for him if he needs
Yeah.
them. But maybe I'm just kind of swagging it too far. Do you think there's anything about these running backs that the Cowboys should be worried about? Let's just say.
I don't think so. I think that these are not power running backs by any stretch. These guys aren't. They're not guys that are going to power through tackles. They're more guys that can get open. They get open in space. They're more those running backs that you see that are more utilized in that passing game. They're an east-west. They're not really a north-south type running back, which I think we do good against that kind of running back. I don't really see them having a lot of success doing that. I mean, yeah, maybe on some of these check downs where they check it down on the running back, but not really big play power running backs that are going to get to that second level running, hit the hole and get into that second level. I don't really see that with either one of those running backs. And probably a lot of the reasons why, Kansas City has also struggled a little bit is because they do struggle to run the ball. And I mean, they just don't have a running back that really strikes fear in you as a defensive coordinator. I don't see any of those guys as being a special type running back that they're going to be concerned off. The Cowboys are definitely going to be playing the pass game.
Oh, you're saying shootout, right?
I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Yeah, I think there's going to be some points on the board for sure.
All right, so let's just move on then to the highlights there. Showtime. So it's really the Chiefs backs. Well, sorry, our back seven versus their tight ends and receivers. But I'll keep it a buck. I'm talking about Kelsey and Hill. If you're Dan Quinn, just let's pretend you're Dan Quinn. How do you try to deal with that? Like, what do you do in this case, trying to limit these guys, Kelsey and Tyreek Hill? What's your plan?
For sure. Well, I mean, I think if you look at what a lot of the teams have done this year, I mean, it didn't really work so well for the Raiders, but I mean, you try to keep all the plays in front of you, and I know that's easier said than done. But you got to give these cornerbacks help. I mean, I think Diggs can hold his own, but I mean, I think you leave a safety over the top and you keep a double on Hill. I think you have to do that, and I think with when it comes to Kelsey, I mean, you're just going to have to, like I said, keep those plays in front of you. Don't let them get behind you. Keep everything in front of you. I'd kind of be anxious to see. I mean, I know Parsons is the guy that can, rush the passer, and that's probably what we're going to use him for. I'm anxious to see if they're going to, if they're putting a backer on Kelsey or kind of how they're going to approach that, who they're going to have, on him. Are they going to put are they going to put a DB on Kelsey? I mean, he's kind of a guy sometimes that could. I mean, you see a guy maybe like Jordan Lewis guarding him. I don't know.
Good one though. That's a good one. That's a real good one.
He's definitely a difficult guy that you have to account for. He's one of those tight ends that definitely can hurt you. And he can burn a lot of linebackers in this league. So, I mean, that's a good question. But I think on that, you just got to keep these guys in front of you and make them do that dink and dunk plays. Make Mahomes get impatient and try to get him to where he does go for that home run ball that he shouldn't. Because I mean, in that Raiders game, he did it. It's just the DB didn't come down with the ball. And I mean, that's not a problem with our DBs. I mean, if that ball's thrown over our DBs, they're coming down with it.
Yeah, so, man. Yeah. No, I'm rocking with you too. I think because it's funny. I wrote the same notes down too. I thought that even with Kelsey, you wanted to try Micah Parsons one time, see if you could actually pull it off. But man, the more I think about it, I'm thinking maybe less linebackers. So instead of having a nickel, we have two linebackers. We'll take one linebacker off, whoever that might be, and let's just slide in maybe Curse, Donovan Wilson, or something like that. Say, hey, look, you got Kelsey, you got to stick with this guy, and then let Micah do his thing, and then like you said, Diggs with Hill, someone up top. But it's like I wish in this game we had guys like Jabril Cox, or I wish we had in this game our healthy DNs to let Parsons get freed up and just be an athlete. So I mean that. It sucks, man. Honestly, it sucks to have to deal with that mess. But this is the challenge of the Kansas City Chiefs, man.
Yep,
Um,
for sure.
so let's just talk about Pat for a second, right? Because I think it's hard not to talk about this game, right? And not talk about the storylines within the game of Patrick Mahomes. So I want to save
Yeah.
it for the end. So I kind of let it leak a little bit slowly here for a minute. Talking about Pat though, right? You talked about the Raiders game last week and how he's played all season. You knowing Pat from college, you knowing him as a MVP player coming up. Is he back to his MVP status? Do you think he's there right now? You think he's back to Pat Mahomes?
I don't. And the reason why I say that is because I think that there was some bad matchups offensively and defensively for the Raiders in that game. I thought there was plays to be had by by the Raiders that they didn't make. Um, and I'm not going to say the Chiefs got lucky, but it's a game that they really it's a divisional game. It's a game that I thought they were trying to get back on track. I thought Mahomes did a lot better taking what the defense gave him and not necessarily going for some of them home run plays. But there were times when he made plays that could have ended up in mistakes that I feel like if he was playing against the Cowboys defense, that those would have resulted in turnovers. Now they didn't in that, but I mean, I still see him to be just, it sounds crazy to say that a guy that passed for over 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns that he have on this,
Something crazy, yeah.
To say that he didn't look comfortable, but there's still times where I still don't think he looks comfortable in that pocket. And I don't know if it's something that just, I mean, he hasn't looked that way all season. The games that I've seen him in, he just hasn't looked very comfortable in the pocket. I don't know if it's just him seeing Ghost from Tampa Bay, because I mean, that game he was running for his life the whole time. But yeah, I don't see him back to that level yet, because the level that I think of Patrick Mahomes, when you talk about his MVP level, that's like the highest level of play. And I don't see him playing that way right now. I mean, he's got double-digit interceptions on the year already. And he didn't have any interceptions against the Raiders, but there's definitely at least one that should have been intercepted for sure. So, yeah, I don't quite see him back there yet. I'm going to have to see him string together probably a couple of games playing at that high level like that before I'd say he's back officially.
Yeah, man, I rock with all that. Now, mind you, you've seen that's your guy. You've seen him at TTU. You know him better than I do. Now, I know him pretty well, but I know him as so what's the word called a dissenter or a hater, if you will, when it comes to Mahomes. But nothing you said, man, is not facts. And honestly, it's in my notes here. It's the same thing you talked about: running backwards in the sacks, retreating, not being comfortable, throwing it into double coverage. I think it was Trayvon Morrig too, our guy from TCU during the draft. I think we were looking at. He had a pick right in his hands and dropped it. That's
Yeah.
it's right there. It's in your hands. It's easy money if you want to take it from him. I think that's the
Yep.
thing, like you said. Play your safeties back, let them to get impatient, forcing double coverage, take the ball from him, and you got to play like that. And for me, man, I think it's sobering because you see me on Twitter with Cowboys fans, even rival fans talking about Dak Prescott, what Dak isn't, what Mahomes is. I think it's sobering to see this game too, because now you can tell that one, Dak is an ascending quarterback, and two, hey, Mahomes does not walk on water. Now you guys can see it for
Yep.
yourself. He has his faults and his flaws. So I
Yep.
think that I'm saying, yeah, he's not back yet at all. He's not there. But again, like Steph can go 3 of 13, come to the fourth quarter, he gets hot. It can happen too. If we're not in our proper assignments, if we're just kind of letting coverages slack, and also I didn't bring this up before with Andy Reid's offense, but there's a lot of motion and movement. It's almost like playing your mirror image. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever played like one of those games back in the 90s? Kelly, I know you have. Like one of those games at the arcade where you're saying you're winning with the same character in a fighting game. And
Yeah.
you play that character, he's beating your ass with your moves too. Like Kansas
Yeah.
City, they have some of that too, where they have the motion too. They can kind of present some challenges. If you're not ready, they can hit those big plays too. But I think, like you said, play it straight, don't take the bait, and you'll be all right, man. So I think we both know what this team can be. Like we both know what the Chiefs are, what we can be also. But on offense, they have certain challenges that we have to circumvent to beat them and make them make mistakes, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, so you know how that goes, man. But so enough of the Chiefs offense, man. Time for my favorite part is talking about our offense, our guys versus their guys, man. So just one thing that I wanted to bring up, right? Looking at the numbers and the stats for the Chiefs. On defense, they actually have talent, especially up front. You got Chris Jones, you got Duron Reed, Frank Clark. but the numbers aren't good. So if I take the same success rates for rush defense, pass rush, it's ass, man. I'm not even exaggerating. It's ass. Like
Oh, yeah.
with like it's bad, man. I think the pass rush rate is like 24%. Run stop rate is at 31, which is like really, really bad. Like they're amongst the worst in yards per carry too. Like you can run the ball on them. They're bad in sacks. But before we got on the show, you brought this up, man. They blitz a lot though, despite not getting sacks. So assuming that Tyron Smith doesn't play, how do you feel about this matchup? Like I know the numbers, I know the talent, but now it's about talent versus stats, our guys versus their guys. How do you feel with all this information I just gave you?
Okay, so first of all, I've felt for several weeks at the beginning of the season. I thought that this game would be. I picked this game at the beginning of the season as a loss. When I was originally going through the schedule, picking all the games before any games have been played, I picked it as a loss. Did not see our defense playing at the level that they're playing at now. I hoped that they could be this, but I had to go based off of what I had seen last year. You know what I mean? I couldn't just say what I was hoping on. So I picked this game as a loss. But when I look at it now, I mean, you're looking at a Kansas City pass rush D, like you said. You talked about some of the where they rank. I mean, they got 14 sacks on the season, which is 31st out of 32 teams. That's not great. So I mean, they're not putting pressure on Dak. And if you talk about not putting pressure on Dak Prescott, I mean, you're talking about all the weapons we got on this team. He is going to pick you apart. Now, when you talk about having to send that extra help, which is what Kansas City has done because they're not getting pressure with their front. I mean, I just saw this and I pulled this off of Twitter. Dak versus the blitz this year has 15 touchdowns. There's not any other quarterback in the league that has more than 9. That was something I saw on PFF today. Now that is impressive.
Mm, mm.
That should scare the defensive coordinator over there in Kansas City because, I mean, what do you do there? Because if you don't blitz Dak, he's going to pick you apart. If you let him sit back there and have all day, you've got CeeDee Lamb, you've got Amari Cooper, Gallup, you've got Wilson, you've got Schultz. I mean, it just the list goes on and on. Zeke, Pollard. I mean, so if you sit back there and don't blitz him, you know, he's going to pick you apart. If you do blitz him, he's still going to pick you apart because he's amazing against the blitz. And I mean, then you look at Kansas City's rush defense. They're allowing 114 yards rushing per game. We're averaging 140. I see that also as a weakness because 114 yards per game is not great. You know, Zeke and Pollard, I think, are both set up to have some success, and that does not bode well for Kansas City just because of the fact that when you look at all the playmakers we have, when you look at the lack of pass rush they have, they're going to be able to do what our offense is going to be able to do whatever they want against their defense. I do not see their defense being a problem for us at all. I think it's going to be pretty easy to score points. And that's what I think is going to be the difference is whether our defense can make it difficult on Mahomes if they can force him into some turnovers because our offense is set up, in my opinion, to have a big day.
The same way, man. And what's weird about this is you look at the blitz rates, right? And the teams that do it a lot, they're kind of similar in how they do it, but they have talented players, but the results are bad, man. Like I saw Tampa's up there for blitz rates. Baltimore, they actually remind me of Baltimore, KC, where you have some talented players on defense, but for the most part, they blitz and they're getting burned, and they're having a lot of mistakes in the secondary. A lot of like, from your safeties. It happens a lot,
Yeah.
man, more than you expect. So I think you're right, man. I think you're spot on because if you have to manufacture pressure with more numbers, but you can't cover it, I mean, DBs are what Charvarius Ward, Fenton. It's nobody that you feel confident can hold their own back there if they're one on one
Yeah.
with our guys.
Yeah.
So I looked at the linebackers too. I mean, I'll skip right past. I think Nick Bolton's he's a pretty solid player, but it's not going to be about the linebacker stopping the run in this game. Not to me. It's about if you blitz, can you play and hold up in the back end? I don't think that they can. I think they're kind of short.
Yeah.
So speaking of one player though, man, just out of curiosity, with Tyron Matthew back there, because I think he's one guy that can actually make plays if he's in his right mind. Has he fallen off, or you think it's so much garbage around him that it's unsustainable? Is it bad player, bad spot, or is it bad player, just bad player, period?
I mean, I think he's had, I think he's had some struggles, but I think that I don't think that he's a bad player by any means. I think that right now, I think he's extremely frustrated. You can see it a lot of times on the sidelines that he's frustrated because there's times where there's these blown coverages, and I think he's doing all that he can do, and he's not getting that same in return from his fellow teammates on defense. So I think there's a lot of frustration on his point. And then when you add to the fact that, earlier in the year, he said that the Kansas City fan base is one of the most toxic fan bases that he's ever been around. I don't think the guy really enjoys playing in Kansas City at this point right now, which, I mean, it's crazy for, a guy that was on the team that won this, that won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But, now it's, the Kansas City fans are like, this is what they're expecting Super Bowl, like every year, Super Bowl appearances. So when they see this poor play from this defense, and they're booing the defense and stuff, and I just feel like he's unhappy, and I feel like when you're unhappy and you're going through the struggles that they're going through, and your defense is just getting shredded week to week, I feel like it's hard to come in there and give it 110%. I mean, it is, because at the end of the day, these guys are human, and they got emotions just like us. And if you're getting your ass kicked every single day, it gets old after a while. You get fed up with it, and then I think it affects your performance as well. So I think he might be looking for a change of scenery soon, and that might do him some good. But we're gonna see how that plays out. But I think he's still a talented player.
So he would not make it in Dallas, no, that attitude. He's not making it out here then. All right. I mean, I can say, I don't think he's cooked per se, but I think his value is limited by what's in front of him. And I think we talk about running backs being dependent on their O lines. To me, it feels like he's dependent upon what's in front of him from their pressure up front. If they're not getting pressure up front, he's being isolated, especially if you're going to blitz. So I assume you find yourself more one-on-ones than ever before. So I'm like, he may not be done, but he might be done in KC. So it is what it is,
sure.
man, All right, Kelly. So with all that said, man, assume what we know about this matchup, how Dallas should be having one-on-ones down the field, taking full-blown advantage. So in your eyes, man, maybe a fantasy football question, but who's the guy you go with in this game? Is it going to be more of Amari Cooper, more CeeDee Lamb? Is it both? Because I think it's fair to have both guys just kind of take off. I think they know with Dallas, you got to watch at least one of these guys carefully. So who's your guy that you think they try to take away in this game?
Well, I'm going to say, and there's really no logic behind it. It's just kind of a coin flip type deal. But what I've noticed is a little bit of a trend is it seems like if 1 week Cooper goes off, it seems like the next week CD has a really good week. So I'm going to have to say Cooper this week. And the reason why is because CD's just coming off of such a great game against the Falcons with the 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to say that they're gonna focus a little bit more on CD, which is going to open up Cooper, and then Cooper's just going to rip them apart. So I feel like it's going to be a big game for Amari Cooper. I could see him a couple touchdowns, probably about 125 yards receiving. Have a pretty big day.
Okay. Look, man, my fantasy team needs that. They need those points, man. So you already know where that's at, man. I think you're right, though, man. I think they're going to do that. They're going to kind of take away CeeDee Lamb because I think Dak is more comfortable now with CD more than ever. Like, if you look at where the targets are going, it's like, hey, I got to find CD in the slot. And they're really scheming up CD to get open in the slot, man. I'm seeing inside fade routes. I'm seeing inside, like, corner routes, post routes. Like, it's a lot to CD, man. So I'm with you on that, though. I think it depends on who plays that slot. Like, if they're interchangeable, then it's like, man, you got to attack this guy. But I think really they were going to want to go after Fenton, though, in this game. Because Fenton, you've seen him, too. I think he's kind of like handsy, kind of grabby. So you want them to kind of have to cover every blade of grass with this offense, man. So I would go probably maybe Amari Cooper in this game, too, just kind of seeing how it goes, man. But like you said, it's a toss up, man.
And the bad thing for the Kansas City defense is that they're both number 1 receiver guys, man. You take one of those guys away, the other guy's going to burn you. I mean, if you give Dak one-on-one, if you're showing a little more attention to CD and trying to take him away, well, then he's going to go Cooper. And if you do that the other way, then he's going Lamb. And then we got Michael Gallup back, who's integrating himself into this offense too. And he had some pretty good plays Sunday against the Falcons in his first game back. So he's only going to get more comfortable. So you also got to think about him making some plays in the game too, because he's a big play guy too. And that's what I've been really excited about I was really excited going into this year, those three with a healthy Dak full season. So it was kind of unfortunate that Gallup went down, even though Cedric Wilson was amazing in his absence. But yeah, I mean, Gallup coming back in this offense has to kind of excite you too, because it's going to open things up even more. So
Yeah, man, absolute.
yeah.
So then, okay, so I'm gonna kind of segue a little bit to the grand finale here. But with Dak Prescott in this matchup, knowing what it is, knowing what it means to the Cowboys, do you have any concerns about Dak Prescott in this game? Any worries whatsoever?
No, I mean he's been as steady as you can get. He's Mr. Consistent, with the exception of the Denver game, which I mean, to the credit of the team, nobody really played well in that game. It wasn't just on Dak, and players have bad games. They're not gonna win all 17. They're not gonna look like MVP candidates in every single game. They're gonna have some down games. But yeah, no, Dak has been as consistent as you can get, and I just think that he is seeing the field better this year than he ever has. I mean, the reads, he knows right where to go, works through the progressions, takes what they give him. He's not being sloppy with the ball. I mean, he's everything you want from a franchise quarterback. I mean, you look at Dak at this point in his career, and you'd be hard pressed to get me to take any other quarterback in the league over Dak right now, just because I think that he's hitting his stride, and it's a thing of beauty to watch.
All right. So, as promised, man, I'm gonna talk big picture with the Cowboys in this game and what it means going forward. And just talk about the Cowboys, the team as a whole, for people that still are non-believers that aren't convinced or not buying in. So first off, first question, right? Arizona game aside, would this be the biggest game left on the schedule from a viewer perspective, a fan perspective of just having to prove it to you as a Cowboys fan? Is this the biggest game we have left besides Arizona in Week 17?
I would say this one for sure is the biggest game. This one in Arizona. If I had to pick another one of the games, I'd say probably the Saints. And the reason I say that is because the Saints are a very well coached team. That's a team that can give anybody problems on any given Sunday. Even though that Winston has went down, they don't have Jameis Winston anymore as their quarterback. Sean Payton finds ways to win with whoever he has to plug in at quarterback. I mean, he did it with Bridgewater. He's done it with Taysom Hill. He did it with. I mean, he's a hell of a coach, man. In my opinion, he's one of the best coaches in the league. So I think that's going to be another game for the Cowboys. That'll be a very competitive game, in my opinion. I think just with what some of the things they bring to the table. So, but yeah, this is definitely a one that's going to bring a lot of viewers to the table. It's going to be a lot of people watching that game on Sunday. Cowboys and Chiefs, that's two big brands right now. So
I wasn't too sure about the schedule at first until you mentioned it. You said New Orleans. Man, I was told that after New Orleans, they're not going to be home for a month. So that
yeah,
means, so that's two games. I guess is it a divisional kind of road trip? Pretty much, uh, it's help me out here. It's Philly, Giants, Washington, right?
we got Washington. We got Washington twice. It's weird. We play Washington, and then we're sandwiched in the middle of there, and I can't remember who
It's
it is.
Philly, right? Philly, I
Philly,
believe,
and then it's Washington again. So we play Washington twice in 3 weeks, which is really weird. How
and then New York.
they kind of set that up, and then yeah, finish it with New York. So a lot of divisional opponents down the stretch, which I mean, on the road or not, I mean that's kind of I mean I'm not any of the NFC East opponents, man. I'm just not scared. I know that
No
anything
worries,
in
nothing.
divisional games, but man, they're just not
Okay.
on the Cowboys level, and I don't see us losing to anybody in the NFC East this year.
I think it's going to be tougher based on seeding because they can slip up, and right now we're in a tight race for that top seed. But you talked about
For
coaching
sure.
with Sean Payton, so let's talk about coaching for a second, right? If the Cowboys were to just to bring this back, if the Cowboys win this game against KC, what does that do for Mike McCarthy if he wins this game on the road against Andy Reid and the Chiefs? What does that do for him?
Well, I mean, I tweeted something today that I have, and I'm biased as a Cowboys fan. I won't lie and say I'm not, but I got McCarthy is in my opinion in the running for head coach of the year, and I think if he wins this game, I think he's definitely going to gain some traction when it comes to that. Um, just because he's overcome a lot when it comes to, and I just don't feel he gets enough credit. I feel a lot of people want to point to Kellen Moore, which I mean he's done a great job, but Kellen Moore was on the staff when Jason Garrett was on the staff. And people will say Dan Quinn, he's turned the defense around. Okay, granted, he has done that. But your overall, when you're talking about your game plans, your in-game adjustments, things that you do to have your team prepared when your star players like Tyron Smith go down, when you got guys like DeMarcus Lawrence going down, Randy Gregory, and week in and week out, your team is ready to play. That's head coaching, period. And I remember back to the days of Jason Garrett when Tyron Smith went down in that Falcons game and we looked inept. Like, one player should not platoon your whole team. And I've always thought that. And I've always admired other coaches who could do that. You see these other coaches who coach through injuries, who coach through, their offense, star offensive line players going down, star defensive players, but they still find ways to get it done because they've got depth, but they can make adjustments and they can play to these, and change their game plans a little bit and tweak it, whether it's bringing Zeke in to help block, when you've got a little bit of weakness out there with Tyron Smith missing, whatever that may be. It's just, I feel like McCarthy has done that. So I think that if he can get this win on the road in Kansas City, I think you'll start hearing some of the national media talk about him for head coach of the year, because I think he's done a great job. I know early on there was some deals with the time clock and time management and stuff, but overall, I mean, I love the job he's been doing. Aggressive. I mean, going for it on fourth down. I'm loving the fourth down calls. When they were up big and they went for that 2-point conversion, because they got the ball, you get the ball right there on the 1 yard line. Why not go for the 1 point? He talked about the analytics of things. Well, you got a better chance of getting that 2 point. So go for it. Take the points. Doesn't matter that you're up big. You take the points. You keep your foot all the way down on that gas until the game clock hits 0. And I think McCarthy's done a terrific job at doing that. So yeah, I think this definitely helps in the eyes of some of the people that aren't already believers. I think it definitely will help them put Mike McCarthy up in that upper echelon of the coaches that are in the NFL this year.
Damn, man, that's well said. Damn. I mean, as far as coach of the year, I can't argue. The only name that crops up for me is Belichick. But even if I say Belichick, that's respect, though. That's real respect. I mean, you broke it down well, man. Everything as far as the staff. Even if you make the argument that he's even improved Kellen Moore, he's gotten more out of Kellen Moore just being there. I mean, even the staff. I mean, he picked Fossil up, right? And now they're blocking kicks. I think it's 3 teams. Is it 3 block kicks in this season?
I think I think it's the last 2 games that they've had, because they did in the Broncos game, and then so the special teams has been playing really great. I mean, special teams has been doing really good. So I mean, just all across the board. I mean, all 3 aspects of the game, special teams, defense, and offense, man, everything is just clicking and on point. So I mean, you gotta, anytime you look at a team that's doing great, I mean, you can't say that the head coach doesn't have a hand in that, because he does. He's got a hand in everything that goes on, man. So you can't credit one without crediting the other. So I really love the job he's doing this year with the Cowboys. It makes me very excited about the potential of this team going forward.
Yeah, man, I can't front on that at all. And I think even with Cowboy fans, you got to be careful of not trying to give credit to one person and blame to only one party either. It's got to be kind of a collaborative, collective effort, man. So I give you that 100%, man. So talking about quarterbacks before, because you said this before, that you wouldn't take Dak over anybody else right now, then I'm going to ask you right now, is Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes officially now on the same level, or has one surpassed the other?
I don't know that Dak has actually surpassed Mahomes yet, just because now I think in play, the way that he's playing this year, thus far this year, if you're just looking at this year, I think he has. Just because you look at him and he's got, his pass percentage is, he's got less interceptions. He has 5 less touchdowns than Mahomes. But I mean, you just look at the way Dak Prescott's playing. He's playing better, plain and simple. He's playing better. You can't say that he's not playing better than Mahomes. If you've got 2 eyes and you've been watching football this year, Dak is playing, and there's really not. I can't really think of anybody that's playing better than Dak. That's why I say, he's my MVP. I think what Dak needs to do, and this is not in my mind, but I think in a lot of big scope, big picture, national media stuff, they're wanting to see him in the playoffs and make a deep playoff run. They're wanting, because you can be a great quarterback and not win a Super Bowl. I don't think that you have to have that caveat that winning a Super Bowl is the only thing that makes great quarterbacks, because there's been great quarterbacks that haven't won Super Bowls, but you make your money in the playoffs. I mean, plain and simple. And Dak Dak's played well in the few playoff games that he's appeared in. I just thought he hasn't had the defense to back him up. And now this year he's got it. He has the number one offense in the league. He's got a defense. I said at the beginning of the season that I thought if our defense could get into the 15 to 18 range, I thought that they would do a lot of damage this year. They'd be a dangerous team, and then they've surpassed that. They've done even better than that. So I think that this team has the potential to do something, and I think that's gonna make Dak, and that will put him at that level. I mean, if Dak was to make a deep playoff run this year, NFC Championship game, Super Bowl even, I think that definitely puts him right there where Mahomes is, if not surpass Mahomes. So.
I mean, look, I think Dak is playing better this year. And I've made it, like, I've argued this before. I've put out articles and I mean articles like this long saying why Dak belongs in the class. Because with Dak, it's always been he's not better than this guy. He's not better than that guy, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Now, if the golden child is Mahomes and Dak has been playing better than him, and I think, in my opinion, Dak has been at that level for a while. It's just he hasn't had the success or the luck, like you said, of guys not dropping interceptions, guys playing with a good defense, like these things. I think Dak has been there. I think this time it's clear Dak is playing better than Patrick Mahomes. Period. Like, they're in the same class. Fine, if you want to call them elite, they're both elite. But Dak is a tier above him right now, and I'm cool with saying that.
Yep.
But just focusing on them, because we talked about the big picture, like the biggest picture, but focusing on the micro before we hop back to the macro. If you're a analyst, right, or let's just pretend you're on ESPN, one of these talking head shows or whatever, what does winning this game do for Dak Prescott around the NFL? Like, what is the storyline on Monday when Dak Prescott goes into KC and beats the Chiefs? Like, what do you say if you're sitting in that chair Monday morning?
The storyline is going to be that Dak is your MVP this far. It puts him at the top, in my opinion. And the reason being is because the Chiefs, even though they've had some struggles this year, they're 6-4. This is still a team that has been to 2 Super Bowls. It's a team coming off a Super Bowl appearance, and I mean it's a team that a lot of people look at, and probably most people looked at as a team that would beat the Cowboys going into the season, and including myself. So I think the storyline on Monday is Dak's your MVP. At this point of the season, Dak is your MVP, and especially if he goes in there and it's a shootout, and Dak has to drive down the field late and score. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Dak's your MVP. Cowboys are the most dangerous offense in the NFL, which I think we already know that, and I think a lot of people have been talking about it. But I think it's gonna be even the people that don't like the Cowboys, even some of the most, even some of the biggest doubters are going to be like, yeah, I'm sold on this team. I mean, because that's a signature win. This would absolutely be a signature win for the Cowboys. I feel like it doesn't define their season if they lose, but I feel like it absolutely can define their season if they win, because I feel like this win right here can really give this team much more confidence than they've already had, if that makes sense. I mean, I think this is a confident team, but I think going into Kansas City and getting this win against, like you said, the golden child Mahomes, because he gets all the love, all the praise by all the media. I mean, I think it makes people look at Dak and Mahomes a little bit differently in terms of comparing the two, because there's a lot of people that when you say, hey, I think Dak is playing better than Mahomes, and they're like, yeah, but he's not better than Mahomes. Well, he is, because he's playing better than him right now. So he is. It's not a Super Bowl yet, but he's playing better than him, which
Man.
which means you're talking about comparing. Let's compare right now. Dak's playing at a higher level than Mahomes, and if he beats him in Arrowhead on Sunday, the argument about that is over right now. Who is the better quarterback right now, today, tomorrow, on Monday? If Dax comes out victorious, Dak's the better quarterback, plain and simple. He went in there and he won. So, yeah, I think
That is the best fucking part. That's the best fucking part, to where the point where you can't even debate it anymore, or you look crazy debating it.
yeah,
And again, man, for me as an analyst and trying to be objective and trying to actually break down these myths and narratives and these thought processes, man, when he takes that from him in his house, yeah, like you look stupid trying to debate that Dak is the better quarterback than Mahomes on the spot. And I
yeah,
know it's not that important. I mean, shit, I'm petty. To me, it's a little bit important. Fucking, I'm petty.
yeah,
But,
yeah. I
but
want this.
yeah,
I want this win.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, that said, though, if they win this game, how confident are you saying that they're a Super Bowl contender? I mean, I mean saying it openly, chest out, saying it openly. How confident do you feel saying it if they win this game?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I've been holding that shit back for a couple of weeks.
We always do. We always have to.
I've been holding it back, man, because the inner the inner Cowboys fan that sees the world in those blue sunglasses has been thinking, man, this team could be Super Bowl bound. For a few weeks now, just with the things that I've seen. I think that Denver game was a blip in the radar. Yeah, I was upset by that loss, but I wasn't deterred by that loss. It didn't change my opinion of this team. It didn't change my opinion of the talent on this team. I didn't think that we were going to make a turn for the South. I thought this team was going to respond accordingly, and they did against the Falcons. So if they go into Arrowhead and they win, especially if it's, especially it's the type of win. Like if the Cowboys go in there and they win that game by double digits, like if it's a double digit win on Kansas City in their place, I mean,
Oh man.
I'm probably going to be bumping my chest on Monday, and it's going to be talking about the Super Bowl. I'd feel very confident. I mean, I'm already feeling pretty confident that we can go to the Super Bowl this year. I really do. But beating the Chiefs, yeah, it's gonna boost me over the top. I might do that Scooter Magruder and Cowboys are headed to the Super Bowl tweet or something. But I usually try to pump my brakes on that, man, because I just don't want that shit to come back and haunt me. I don't want to jinx my team. But I mean, honestly, man, I can't not say that I see something special in this team and think that they can win it all.
Man, I think it's hard, right? Being a Cowboys fan, you've been a fan for how long? It's like what, 91?
92. I watched that Super Bowl they won in 92. It was a Super Bowl party with my mom, and it was the first Cowboys game that I watched from start to finish, and I was hooked from then on. So
Damn,
19,
we have a lot in common, it sounds like. We got a hell of a lot in common then.
yeah.
Um, but I think we know, like we lived this whole thing of, oh, okay, they're not good enough, or or we'll take the cheese every now and then. But
Yeah.
we've been watching football for a long time, man, and you see teams that have certain aspects, right? Like teams that can win bad games, like a rough kind of a game, like the Cooper Rush game, for example, games like
Yeah.
that. Or you have a
Yep.
game where you're playing good special teams or good defense, or like things happen to find you, like good things happen to you if you're opportunistic.
Yeah.
That's his team, right? Like it's not top heavy. It's not '07 where '07, yeah, they were explosive, but there were question marks about the play calling, things like that. Or even '09 where you had a pretty solid group on offense, but the defense was so. Like you're seeing sacks, you're seeing pressure, you're seeing interceptions, and you're blowing teams out. You're actually making your kicks for the most part. You're getting blocks. If it was any other team but the Cowboys, any other team, anybody, you call them a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
Period. But because the
Yep.
Cowboys, we can't speak the unspeakable. But damn, man, I'm with you though. I think this
Yeah.
team really is different, and the reason why they're different is the quarterback is not for the bullshit. He's
Yeah.
not for it, man. He's a different kind of character. Like he knows what it takes to win. Although he's never been there, and you've been around people like that in your life before who they may not have been there before, but you know that where they're going. You can kind of
Yeah.
tell the aura of where they're going. And I think this team has a certain belief about themselves, and it starts with number four. I mean, going back to last year, even last year when he was out, the shit went south. Everything went south. And it's hard to even fault McCarthy for that because the team was so wrapped around their quarterback that when he was gone, you could see it. Now that he's back, it's all right back up to the top, man. The energy's there, the focus is there, the drive is there. So, man, look, they win. Man, you have my blessing. Be obnoxious as you want on Monday. Be mad obnoxious.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just to go back to your point about Dak knowing what it takes to get there. Man, he had me sold from 2016 in the preseason. The way he stepped in, the way he played in the preseason, the way he played in the opener. I mean, just everything about Dak, the way he talks, just it's a leader. And, you know, I recognize that from the minute that, you know, the minute I heard him talking, I'm like, this guy's got something special. He's got something special. And as much as I, you know, as much as I loved Romo, I remember answering questions from my general manager. He knows how diehard of a Cowboy fan I am, and he knows how much I liked Romo. He asked me, you know, about 5-6 games into the season in 2016, he's like, what happens when Romo comes back? And I was like, you can't put Prescott on the bench. You can't put him on the bench. And he's like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, this kid's got an intangible that you can't coach. He's a natural born leader, and he's going to lead this team. I said, and I have no doubt that he's going to win a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. No doubt. And I still believe that with all my heart. It's going to happen. Dak's going to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. If it's not this year, it's going to be next year. You know, it's going to be before his career is over. He's going to do it. He's just too good of a guy. He elevates the players around him. You can tell they respect him, and you can tell that he does not accept mediocrity. And when you play with somebody that holds you to that higher standard, as much as I hate him, it's a guy like Aaron Rodgers. It's a guy like Tom Brady. You know, they will not accept subpar performances. And if you're subpar, they're going to let you know about it. They're going to get in your ass. And players don't like that. You know what I mean? They want to be part of a winning culture. They want to follow somebody like Dak. And you got to love that as a Cowboys fan, that we got a quarterback like that.
100%, man. 100%. So, man, that's a hell of a speech, man. I feel like we're running a lap for you, man. That's pretty good. All right, man. So with this game, I want you to pick a player of the game on offense and one on defense. And please, man, give me stats. So one guy you're taking for the game on offense and defense.
All right. Well, offense. I mean, how could I gush as much as I did about Dak Prescott and not give Dak Prescott the player of the game?
Some low-hanging fruit, but that's okay.
Yeah, some low-hanging fruit, man. I'm not going to go off script here. I'm going to stick with my guy, Dak. I'm going to say Dak Prescott is going to be the offensive player of the game. I'm going to say he's going to go for 335 through the air. I'm going to say 3 touchdowns, and I'm going to say he runs one in too. So I'm going to say 4 touchdowns. I'm going to say he's going to rush one in and throw for 3. 4 touchdowns. I think I picked the final score of this game. I think I had it 38-24 Cowboys over the Chiefs. So I think Zeke's going to get himself a couple as well. But yeah, I'll take that. Defensive player of the game. Man, I've thought about it, and I had 2 players written down, and it's the 2 obvious players, but it's the players that they make the most plays.
Name them.
It's Diggs or Parsons. I'm gonna have to say Parsons. I think Parsons is gonna be integral in getting pressure on Mahomes. I'm gonna say that Parsons is gonna get to Mahomes twice. I'm gonna say he's gonna have 2 sacks in this game, and I'm gonna say one of them is gonna be a forced fumble. So
that's good. That is good.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, man. So I'm gonna go just because you built it up so good, man. I'm going with Amari Cooper. So I'm going with Amari. I say 7 catches, 85 yards, maybe a touchdown. Defense, I'm gonna go kind of off the grid, bet. I'm gonna say KZ. You know, because if you're gonna rush Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna throw some high passes. One guys with hands over the middle. KZ might be your guy. So I'm going with KZ in this one. But like you said, man, they got to be ready. He throws you one, you got to catch it. Get him off the field and do your thing, man. So you said 38-24 was your score.
Yep.
All right, man. So I got 38. So I got 38-35.
I'm Okay.
Shit, man. But I got the Cowboys losing, actually.
Oh,
Fuck it.
okay.
Yeah, man. So, and I think
Well,
it's,
hey, at the beginning of the season, I had that pick that just kind of I changed it up at the last minute. But you know what?
I feel bad saying it though, man. I feel bad saying it. And
Hey,
the only reason why is I feel like it's going to be because of something out of their control. Either like a missed kick by, if it's Zerline back or if it's the other guy, or
yeah,
a stupid call by the refs. I just feel like it's a game that it's so important that someone's going to put their fingers in it and mess it up.
yeah,
Somebody's going to. It's again, if they lose like that, I'm not saying that they're not a contender. I'm not saying that they're not a great team. I'm just saying that, hey, also to win titles, you need a little bit of luck along the way, and they might defer their luck to somebody else or something
yeah.
else. So yeah, man, I think they lose by a field goal on some
I
bullshit.
mean,
But
it's not. I don't think it's a out of the realm of possibility. That they lose. I mean, the Chiefs are a good team. They did just put together a pretty impressive performance against the Las Vegas Raiders. I just feel like my gut's just telling me, man, that this Cowboys locker room right now, man, is it's juiced up as a 12-year-old's lunchbox, man. I mean, they're just ready to go, man. These these guys they're gonna be so pumped up, man. I feel like they're ready to run through a brick wall. I feel like the atmosphere on the road, Arrowhead, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be a game that they know a lot of people are watching. It'll be one of them late primetime games. It's at 3 o'clock, 3:25. Your time
Mhm.
is 4:25. So you're gonna get a lot of people watching. I just feel like this Cowboys team elevates their play when it's a game like that, because I thought they played lights out against Tampa Bay. And like you said, in that game, it came down to something kind of out of their control, missed kicks, that took it out. And Anthony Brown getting burned several times, but he's rebounded nicely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, it's. I feel like it's going to come down on this one, who makes less mistakes. And just from what I've seen, man, I just feel like that Mahomes is going to be the one that's going to make those mistakes. I just don't. I trust Dak in this game, and yeah, I think it'll be juiced up, ready to go.
And I'm hoping for it, man. And look, like I said, if they win, by all means, man, talk your shit, be reckless. Don't get your account taken away like me, man. Don't be like me. But
Yeah, that actually happened after the Broncos game, man. I was a little upset for sure, and yeah, got my account suspended for like 12 hours. I was like, man, I gotta watch that.
put you in
Comment
Twitter jail, huh?
back a little bit. Yeah, Twitter jail.
Hey, man. Hey, some offenses are worth it, man. Just gonna throw it out there. Some are worth it,
Yeah,
man. But hey,
it's
man,
true.
Kelly, though, dude, thank you for sliding through, man. I appreciate you coming on, talking Cowboys football with me, man. Before I get you out of here, though, you gotta let everybody know, man, how we find you again on Twitter, the podcast, the platforms, just everything, man. Let us know. Let us know how we can find you.
Yeah, it's at Kelly K-9 on Twitter, and then the podcast is at Cowboys and Chaos, and you can find that podcast on any of the streaming platforms that you can find. We're on them all. So at Cowboys and Chaos. So thanks for having me on. Always enjoy talking Cowboys football, and it's been one hell of a pleasure to talk football with you, LP. And I'm just looking forward to the Cowboys taking on these KC Chiefs and taking them on down there at Arrowhead.
Guys, man, follow this man for more impressions just like that one. Twitter, Jerry Jones. Follow this guy for real, man. Again, great follow, great dude, man. Again, I can't thank you enough for doing this, man. I do appreciate it. The Cowboys Nation definitely appreciates it. And again, if you guys love this video, love this content, hit that sub button for more videos just like this one. And again, I'm LP Cruz, and as always, thanks for watching. Cowboys up. Peace.